Ryan Hero. One morning, Hank was taking Ryan's passengers from Harwick to Wellsworth Station. On the way there, he met Philip. "Hello, Hank," said Philip. "I see you're taking care of Ryan's passengers today. Whatever happened to him?" he asked. He's needing repairs after he crashed into a field with some trucks the other day," he said. I see you're interested to know," he said. "I am," said Philip. "It's a good thing the Fat Controller chooses you, Rex, Mike, or Frank to look after the Harwick branch line while Ryan is sometimes away." "Yes," agreed Hank, "but there was also a time I couldn't." What do you mean?" asked Philip. "After I crashed into the Fat Controller's house," he said, "I couldn't even handle both trains and passengers at the Harwick branch line, and there was only Bert who was strong enough to do so." "Who's Bert?" asked Philip. "He was one of the engines who came here after me," he said. "He was painted black and had the number 12 on his side," he said. Then Philip gazed. "Do you know what happened to him?" he asked. "The last time I saw him, he was painted black, and one of the controllers from the other railway needed an engine for the extra troop trains after the World War II broke out in 1939, and he volunteered," he said. Then Philip soon spoke to Hank. Have you ever gone through Norwich Station?" he asked. "I have a few times," said Hank, since he knew Norwich Station was on the other railway, far away from Sodor. Then Philip froze for a sec. "Is there something wrong?" asked Hank. "Well," said Philip, at Harwick Station to Norwich Station the other day," he said, "I actually saw some stone writing saying 'Rest in peace' to a black saddled tank engine, and his driver with it," he said. "You mean Bert was?" said Hank. "I'm not sure, Hank," said Philip, "but I'm sure you'll have to ask the Fat Controller tonight. He's bringing in a visitor to show around," he said. If you might, you don't want to delay the passengers." "Not at all," said Hank. With that, Hank was uncoupled and puffed away, leaving the station, leaving Ryan's coaches and passengers for Philip to handle. One night at the shed, Hank arrived back to see Thomas and Edward at Diesel and Frank's usual spots. "What brings you two here?" he asked. "Frank and Diesel are taking care of our trains while we need repairs," said Edward. And I'm worried Diesel might take Annie and Clarabelle away from me," said Thomas. "Don't worry," said Edward. "I'm sure the Fat Controller has his reasons." "Speaking of reasons, he might be coming here now," said Rex, after he watched the Fat Controller's car drove in front of the sheds. After the door swung open and slammed closed, they saw the Fat Controller emerge into the sheds with an old steam enthusiast. Now there's a reason why I brought you all here tonight," he said, trying to get the engines their guests. "Yes," said Ryan. Do you have a guess, or should we guess? Is it to do with Bert? Asked Hank after he had heard from Philip's conversation the other morning. "Yes, that's right," said the Fat Controller. Yes, said the man. I'm Colin Clarence," he said. I was once one of I was once one of the richest steam enthusiasts on my old line, he said. Bert's story began when I was 16 years old, he said. After that, now here is something what happened all those years ago, he went on. This was back in May 1944, he went on, as he continued his story and remembering back in the early events in 1944. It has been a busy year for the railway observations, but some engines also had to take troop trains, and trains also had to stop at every single station for the troopers to come for the next World War. And Colin Clarence have befriended another number of engines, Mushi, who took a lot of troop trains, and Bert, who was now painted red, had to take extra equipment and dangerous goods trains that had to be handled carefully. And May 30th was also not a good day. A number of trains have been drawn out and were sometimes delayed or late for every single month. That meant the passengers would never be here on time. A few weeks later, it was 9 o'clock, and Colin Clarence was still waiting until he was ready to remind the station master that the trains were coming. "What's taking them so long?" asked the station master. Oh, said Colin. "I think I see some smoke coming from the distance." And he was right. There was Mushi broken down with some passengers and was being pushed by Bert, who was full of steam. You've made it, Mushi," said Colin. "What happened?" "I couldn't make it," said Mushi. My water injectors failed," he said. "So Bert offered to help me." "Yes," said Bert. "Besides, the troop trains are always important, and we're going to be needing more troops if we are going to win this war," he said. Quite right, said the station master. After Mushi's driver and fireman were escorted to the station for the situation, Colin had a word with Bert. There are some more goods trains to take for the equipment and bombing, he said. "Can you please take it here until the troops are ready?" "I'll be careful," said Bert. "Besides, all troops are going to need it for their fight," he said. "You're right," said Colin. "Now go, Bert. We mustn't be late." "Right," said Bert, and he huffed away. A short while after, Colin was waiting for Bert to return, as he soon heard two toots of the engine's whistle. Just then, Bert finally made it. But as he was making it to the station, Colin spotted something. "Your train's on fire," he said. "Bert, stop!" "What?" shouted Bert. "What's going on?" "Your train's on fire," said Colin. "Get out!" "No, it's not," said Bert. "Actually," said his driver and fireman, "he's right. One of the vans are on fire. What can we do?" asked the station master, running out of his office. We cannot let this town blow up," he said. "I'll go," said the driver, as he rushed into Bert's cab, and Colin and the station master took Bert's fireman out of the way. They were uncoupled from the other van, and the dynamite van that was already on fire was out. "I'll see you next I'll see you when it's safe, shouted Bert, and he puffed away in a cloud of steam. We're clear, said Colin, and a short while after, the town was clear. It seems the town and our station, well, it looks like we've taken an event on a... And then, said Colin after finishing his story, the blast could have made an event in the town, but if Bert hadn't have been blown up, he would have survived. So, that was the end, he said. Soon all the other engines remained respectfully silent. Bert, went Thomas, he was a good friend, said Hank, and he sacrificed his life as a hero, he said. Soon the other engines had nothing more to say, especially Layla, who she and Nert have known for a long time, was upset to have learned that her other master was gone. And after that, after the Fat Controller and Colin Cloud departed, the other engines remained silent until the day's work was done. They could not have believed what truly happened.